Hello. We have a full moon coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. The full moon is at 2:42 p.m. on the west coast of the United States. And astrologically, generally speaking, in the big picture of the full year, this is actually a good period of time. But from this full moon into the new moon, which is May 25th, it's actually astrologically a pretty good period. Right around May 25th, we have some dramatic aspects happening, the beginning of some dramatic aspects that definitely provide a little bit of a bump right there. But this should be a relatively mild period of time. Nonetheless, there are still some aspects that are ongoing throughout the year, and really this year, overall this year, is about a powerful era, new era starting, and sort of in fits and starts, and the nature of the aspects happening definitely show transitions, major transitions happening, and them happening kind of somewhat unpredictably and in fits and starts in powerful ways that are frequently surprising, sometimes upsetting, sometimes even frightening, more than upsetting, but certainly catching you off guard, off and on throughout the year. And since these aspects are still in place, you may still be feeling them. One of the planets involved in this particular aspect is Jupiter in Libra, and since that is an aspect that could possibly help us, Libra being the sign of balance and Jupiter being the planet that brings blessings, it's a good idea to take a moment to just think about what that means. So Jupiter is usually represented by the scales, and it represents balance. It also represents art and graciousness and the things that sort of bring people together in a pleasurable way. The arts, for example. Not in a pleasurable way, not in a hedonistic way, in a more socially pleasurable way. But definitely Libra is about balance. So given that Jupiter is in a challenging aspect, we have to really think about what balance means. For example, as human beings, we almost all suffer from the vague expectation that at some point in life, all of those things that we don't like about our life, they should get taken care of. They should go away. And at the same time, we should be able to hold on to all of the things that we like about our life. And it doesn't usually happen that way. In fact, usually life gives and takes pretty even-handedly. There are times, minutes, days, hours, months, sometimes years, where really it does all come together. And that one thing, something that you've always wanted does happen, and you don't have to pay some other price. Those are the high points of life. But generally speaking, life gives and takes almost disturbingly, even-handedly. And I say disturbingly because most of the time it is fair. But it's important to realize that we actually don't really want fair. We want good to prevail. And that goes for our idea of good politically and our idea of good personally. Our idea of good politically and socially, and our idea of good in our own personal life. We want things to be good. We don't really want fair. And with Jupiter in Libra and in a challenging aspect, especially since one of the challenging aspects right now involves Uranus and the planet of communication, Mercury, it's very important that we consider that fair does not necessarily mean what we like or what we think is right. It means fair. Right now, there are aspects that could lead to giving in to the urge to suddenly lash out with all those repressed, angry feelings that you may not even have known were bothering you quite so much and to really lay in verbally to somebody. It's really important not to do that right now. You're likely to make mistakes and to come across far too strongly. And with positive aspects with those planets to Saturn, caution in speech will be well rewarded. If there are long-standing issues, take the time to deal with them responsibly rather than bursting out, as you may be tempted to do. There are some there remain some sort of peculiar aspects. Mars is making a difficult aspect to Neptune, so all of us could feel like some sort of weird energy, and especially if you're one of the mutable signs, that would be Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Gemini, and especially if you're right around the middle of those signs, you might be finding yourself exhausted or dealing with certain kinds of illnesses that might be sort of hard to diagnose or hard to shake. They're probably not serious, but it might be necessary to give in a little bit to the need to not just push, push, push. And you can feel like it's kind of hard a little bit like you're herding cats all the time as well. That stuff is sort of falling through the cracks, and it's hard to kind of keep some sort of focus and keep things kind of moving in one straightforward direction. Again, to some degree, that is temporary, and it might be important not to push right now. It might be important to wait a little bit, especially if you're dealing with exhaustion and injuries or illnesses, because you're likely to just make them worse if you push. Nonetheless, in spite of these ongoing, somewhat challenging aspects and the need to not give in to the desire to push for single-handedly what you think is right, what we think is right. There's really good, solid, practical energy that's accessible for all of us if we can keep our head about us and harness it in a measured and thoughtful way. It's not that it has to be quite that boring. It is spring, and the sun is in Taurus, which is a little bit more of a hedonistic sign. So it's also a good time to just get out and enjoy yourself, especially if you're experiencing some of those energy lulls. It may be that what you really need is just to hang out and soak it in, even for a little bit. All right. Enjoy the hopefully beautiful weather, and I will talk to you soon.